Hello guys, RDU here with a video sponsored by Cyberpunk TCG and WeirdCo. We're going deep in the streets of Night City for this one. Let me show you what this game is about and what they sent me. I was sent a box that basically has 2 starter decks, 2 playmats, and 2 sets of dice, 1 for each player. Each starter deck has 3 legends. The legends are the base of the deck. It's how you start the deck building process. Each legend has a RAM cost, and depending on that legend's RAM cost on the color, that's how you can build a deck. So for example, if you have 2 RAM from like a yellow legend, and then 4 RAM total from 2 blue legends, your deck can only contain yellow cards that are up to 2 RAM and blue cards that are up to 4 RAM. You're gonna have situations where a really powerful card, let's say, is 3 RAM. That means you kind of need 4 from your heroes. So you cannot play it in a minority deck. But it's kind of interesting how you can combine the colors to just make your perfect build and attack the strategy the way you want to. Outside of the legends, each deck has units, gear, and programs. Units are your minions, the cards you play to do the combat for you. Gear is stuff you can attach, items, to your units and also to your legends. And programs are just one-time effects, kind of like spells in other card games. You want to make a nice mix, and you can also play cards from one color to help the other color. One interesting thing, obviously, is that colors have natural synergy within the color, but they also combine with other colors in some situations. So you want to have the right mix to just give yourself the best options no matter what your draw is. Each player also has a set of 6 dice. Your objective is to have all 6 of them when your turn starts in your gig area, and that's how you win the game. Basically, the dice are missions. They start in the fixer part, and then you, at the beginning of every single turn, you roll one of the die, not the D21, that one has to go last. And after you roll the die, you basically get street cred with what you rolled. It's a little bit of RNG, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter that much, because basically what you roll on the dice is going to help you improve some of the card abilities, but you also have cards that increase the die value, and you can also steal dice from your opponents, so you can eliminate almost all the RNG. It's mostly just for fun, and the most important part is trying to get 6 of them as quickly as possible in order to just win the game. That's the only thing that matters. Before you start a game, make sure to have your legends shuffled, ideally by your opponent, and placed face down. No picking. Also shuffle your deck, and ideally shuffle your opponent's deck in a competitive play. Then you want to place the 6 die in the fixer area, and at the beginning of every single turn, take one of them and roll it. Then place it in your gig area with the amount that you rolled. I think my fellow Romanians will like this game because we are really good at rolling dice. At the beginning of the game, you are going to draw 6 cards, and if you're not happy with the 6 cards, you can mulligan them once. You have to put all of them back into the deck and then draw other 6 cards. Then you want to immediately roll the dice before starting your turn, and from a strategy perspective, you could go big, so go roll the D12, try to hit a big number. But at the same time, if you go for too big of a number and you have a weak starting turn, your opponent can play a unit that then successfully attacks you, and then they can steal your powerful dice. So maybe sometimes you want to also start on a lower dice, just in case your opponent manages to steal it. You don't want to feed your opponent too much value. The player who goes first, because going first in every single card game is a huge advantage, only starts with 1 untapped card, so basically 1 mana to play with. I think that's fair. Now, every single turn, you can transform one of your cards that has an EDI symbol. EDI stands for Euro-Dollar, which is the currency in the Cyberpunk universe. You can put it into the EDI zone and basically also start tapping it and create value from it. Once every single turn, you can also flip one of your legends, and that creates a very powerful situation. In this example, I flipped Goro Takemura. Goro is an interesting card because it can become a unit, and it's a very powerful unit because for the price of 5, he can attack, but he can also defend. And it's very important to have a unit that has really good strength that is able to do both of them. Why is that? Well, it's simple. When 2 units combat against each other, the one with more attack, with more strength, just straight up wins. There's no damage taken, there's no attack and health. So you want units that just hit very hard. And then if you have a unit that hits very hard, that is also able to defend, that's the best. And Goro Takemura does exactly that. And again, to win a game, you need to have 6 dice in your gig area. Whether you take them from your opponent, whether you go for them yourself at the beginning of the turn, it doesn't really matter. If you have 6 at the beginning of your turn, you win. So what happens is, for example, you can get 6 during your turn, but then your opponent can steal 1 or 2 during their turn. How do you steal the dice? You steal the dice with a direct attack to your opponent's face that is not blocked. And then, depending on how much damage you deal, you can steal more than 1 dice. A direct attack steals a dice, and then if the direct attack has 10 or more power, it steals 2. And then for every 10, 1 extra dice. But it's very hard to get to like these big numbers in the early game. But not impossible. Anything is possible in Night City. Now, since I was sent an alpha kit, when is this game coming out? It's currently available on Kickstarter, and it's in the last week of its project. It was already funded, but it was not only funded, it was the most successful Kickstarter of any TCG ever, and one of the fastest growing projects out there. And I think it's a very good opportunity to try the game if you are interested in the Cyberpunk universe, if you're interested in trying a card game in that universe, if you're a card game enthusiast, if you want to play some physical cards and you're just tired of playing on a computer, I think it's a great game to play. I have a link to the Kickstarter in my description if you want to check it out, and I want to thank Cyberpunk and WeirdCo for sponsoring this video.